Thank you for coming, Katrina. I'll need you for...
Inspector Castillo, the prisoner is supposed to be remanded into my custody.
I will make sure that the prisoner gets back to the holding cell.
No, but regulations specifically
I know the regulations.
state...
Just this once will make an exception. He'll be my responsibility. Thanks. Okay. All right, you got 5 minutes to do this, which is 5 minutes more than you're supposed to have, so talk fast.
Take this down. And make sure you tell Mac that I want this front page, front column.
Let's just get my tape recorder
No
started.
tape. I want you to focus on me and write down everything I say. Headline. Warren Lockridge, framed for murder.
Is this news or an editorial?
Both. You have an opinion, get your own newspaper. Where was I?
Warren Lockridge.
Oh, right. Day 1, diary, pre-trial. A jury of 7 women and 5 men were selected to hear evidence against Warren Lockridge, who was accused on 1 count of second-degree murder for the shooting and killing of Amado, Ernesto, and Gonzalez, and also the shooting and wounding of Mason Capwell. Lockridge, as the writer of this story, will be referred to as the third person.
How impartial of him.
He is entering a plea of not guilty on both counts. And there's no doubt of his innocence. Mark Twain advised, whenever in doubt, tell the truth. And that's what Lockridge is doing. He believes that the jury, after deliberating over his evidence, will also believe of his innocence. The only residual doubts left will be the identity of the true criminal who set Lockridge up to take the fall for a crime he did not commit.
The judge is going to cancel his subscription when he reads this.
Well, then slap his wrists and read him his First Amendment rights. Back to quote. Like the concept of original sin, this had its beginning somewhere in pre-dawn history. This particular battle, justice versus inequity, is personified by the feud being waged by 2 of Santa Barbara's most conspicuously infamous families, the Capwells and the Lockridges. This ancient grudge match has been handed down from generation to generation like an heirloom or a curse. The current antagonists in residence are represented on one side by industrialist C.C. Capwell, a prematurely graying lion with a perennial thorn in his paw. Enter the Thorn, a.k.a. Lionel Lockridge. Their mutual antipathy is deep and abiding. One theory has it that if you hate a person, you hate something in him that's part of yourself.
Lionel. Hey, I understand the jury was selected today. Hard to imagine anyone ranking low enough on the evolutionary scale to qualify as one of Warren's peers.
That's very funny, C.C. Only Warren didn't shoot Mason. If he had, there isn't a jury in the world that would have convicted him. Rather, if he shot Mason, they'd be throwing a ticker tape parade.
Julia Wainwright was in charge of the investigation into Mason Capwell's shooting, but got yanked off the case when it became obvious she had no intention of putting her nephew behind bars based on other people's wishful thinking and hearsay evidence. Wainwright has a reputation for being upstanding and fair-minded. She also happens to believe Lockridge, the younger, is innocent.
Lionel. I think Warren has finally snapped his twig.
What's he done now?
Since he kidnapped Cassie, well, that's a hard act to follow even for our family. But if I know Warren, and I do know Warren, he'll come up with an encore.
Justice might have prevailed if only Julia had. But C.C. Capwell despises what he can't control. And he couldn't control Julia or Cruz Castillo. So he had them recast in the guise of one of his minions. Capwell demands full and unquestioning loyalty from his family as well.
Daddy, you're right about Warren all along. He's been nothing but trouble since he came back to Santa Barbara.
Did you expect otherwise?
You dislike Warren so much. Why do you keep staring at his picture in the paper?
I don't know. Ooh, bullseye. Should have been a basketball player. Well, well, well. Day just keeps getting more and more interesting by the minute.
And in the center of it all, of course, is Cassandra Benedict, an orphan raised by the Capwells. Cassandra currently sports an engagement ring given to her by Mason Capwell, but recently learned she's related to the Lockridge family by blood, which in theory is supposed to be thicker than what you get out of the tap, but in fact runs anemic and cold. Thus, Cassie finds herself firmly wedged between that rock and hard place, neither fully accepted nor trusted by either family.
Excuse me, have any of you seen Mason since the jury selection?
No, I haven't. Why aren't you at the courthouse holding Warren's hand?
I may do that. Sorry to have troubled you. Have either one of you seen Mason?
Oh, dear. What's he done now?
It's not about what he's done at this point. It's what I'm going to do.
I'm afraid to ask.
No, don't be. I'm just going to kill him with my bare hands.
Well, I applaud the sentiment, but don't you think one Lockridge on trial at a time is enough?
Thank you for your unsolicited advice, Lionel. Excuse me.
I better go after her.
You stop her?
To cheer her on.
So the battle lines have been drawn. CC and Lionel, the feud's founding fathers, are no longer at the forefront. Those positions have been assumed by Mason Capwell and Warren Lockridge. One thing is definite. War has been declared.
And as in all wars, they're ugly. And no one ever emerges unscathed.